World War III out there.
Chaotic.
Fantastic. One of the best we've had in a long, long time.
This is awesome.
We're all lucky to survive that.
British Touring Car Championship from Donington Park. We're racing. Rob Collard gets away well. Race leaders are side by side. Here comes George Cook to get the lead of the race back. There's a touch there. Oh, look at this.
Bit cheeky.
Torn off is in strife. He and Goff get together. They're both off. The safety car is being deployed. They are all going to bunch up now.
The real battle really started then.
It's game on again. Smith up the inside of Collard. For second place at Hollywood, the Volkswagen goes through. Aaron Smith takes over the lead. There's a bit of bumping and Josh Cook's off and Aaron Smith is off as well.
Touring cars, isn't it? That's why we're here.
Smith back on the road and off the road again. Cars are going to scatter everywhere. Smith hanging on to a real moment.
I feel bad for Josh. This is touring cars and this is what it's about.
For the lead, it's Matt Neal up the inside of Rob Collard. Matt Neal gets all crossed up. Jordan is sideways. Neal leads. What a race. Matt Neal is just going to hang on in there.
It's all a bit of a blur at the moment, just over the moon. Another win, fantastic.
Race 3 is one of the best things I've ever seen.
Incredibly exciting race. Great advert for touring car racing. Strap yourself in. Btcc Extra this week from Thruxton. 3 more fascinating races in the Dunlop MSA British Touring Car Championship. Time to catch up on some of the news, some of the views, some of the thoughts from the weekend, and who better than Paul O'Neill to talk to. Quite a lot of people really, but we're stuck with him. Highlight of the weekend, first of all.
Highlight of the weekend. There's quite a few to choose from, but Adam Morgan winning that race, knowing his dad Russell is a lovely guy, knowing that team are great people. That's what the championship's about, and I think it's a great thing for the whole paddock.
Weight has been a talking point as well. Some cars have carried the weight really well, and then cars that have taken the weight off haven't actually been able to make progress. Matt Neal, for example, in the third race, mega drive up to the back of Jason Plato. Matt no weight, Jason full weight, and it took Matt quite a while to find a way by.
Unbelievable. I think a lot of that was Jason Plato and his nous and how to drive a defensive car in the slow stuff, but then make the use of how fast that CC is out the back. So it was interesting to see big weight, that 75 kilos, but Matt Neal with no weight, I think that just showed how good that car is. That car is worryingly good, that Type R. People are going to be very worried about that car now.
And Matt looks like a driver reborn. I mean, I know that 2014 was difficult politically and a different car in the Tourer that didn't work at every circuit. But he's come back now, and it's like a different guy behind the wheel.
Absolutely, and I really did think that Shedden would be handing it out to him. I really did. And I've got to take that back because Matt Neal, to me, is a different driver completely. He's had a couple of misdemeanours in the last couple of rounds, but I've got to give him full credit because he has been absolutely on it with the ballast, without it, and just doing a good job. But you've got to remember that Matt isn't just the driver of that team. He gets all the funding and he gets everything together with Honda. He's a massive, massive cog in that whole team.
Race 3 at Donington was mega. Everyone's still talking about it. It was always going to be a bit different here because you didn't have the soft tyre and it's a very different type of circuit. It's still been good racing. What about driving standards? Have they been the right side of overly aggressive, do you think?
It's been a difficult one, isn't it? We did speak at the top of the show this morning that we shouldn't be seeing people getting tagged or touched in the fast stuff. It's just too quick to be doing that. There was a couple of instances that shouldn't have happened. One with Morgan and Prio, but Adam isn't really that kind of driver who would smash into the side of someone on purpose. He was just a bit compromised and he just couldn't get out the throttle quick enough. But nothing's ever done on purpose, but there was quite a few offs, wasn't there, and a bit of damage. And we had all that racing at Donington and not too much damage, so interesting.
And over the weekend as well, we also had the odd tyre issue. And for example, Aaron Smith was a driver come racing who did have a puncture. That was largely down to him hitting a curb. But to find out more about what the tyre situation is around Thruxton, my scout mate here caught up earlier on with Mickey Butler from Dunlop.
It's always a tough challenge coming to Thruxton, isn't it? What do you bring as in a tyre here? It's different, isn't it?
Yeah, we have to bring a different compound for this event. It's, as we know, and you'll know as well, it's a very abrasive circuit, very high loading circuit. So we have to bring a stronger compound to stand up to these ordeals that the tyres go through.
Quite confident that is going to happen all weekend. I mean, we've seen race 2 already. We've had a couple of failures, but it's been like more or less one team, isn't it? What is the score?
I never like to use the word failures. Yes, there's been issues, but we've looked at them, we've looked at the data, we've seen where the issues were, and we've corrected them. As you've seen in race 2, they go on to win. So it's people pushing the boundaries. always looking for that extra tenth, as you well know, which I understand, but safety has to come first.
So is that what you're up against then? You're up against racing drivers wanting to go as fast as they can, putting maybe more camber than usual on, and engineers, are they trying to back them off, or what? Is it a big fight between everyone?
It is a fight. You know, you're a racing driver, you know as well as I, you want to go as fast as you can, and I understand that. But sometimes it's, you know, going fast around here is not the quickest route. So it's getting that balancing act. It's not a fight. We work closely with the teams. And that was my mum. Yeah. I wish you'd have had a shave. I've lost me now. Sorry. No, it's a balancing act. You know, we've worked with teams closely. You know, they understand where I'm coming from. But they all, you know, they want to push the limit. They're on a knife edge, and that's, you know, that's why we have so many people in the pit lane. We work close with them, and you know, as I said to Jason, it's surprising what you can do when you keep airing your tyres, isn't it?
Jason Plato, obviously. What did he say to that comment?
Yes, Mickey.
Brilliant. It is a difficult balancing act, isn't it? But going forward, do you think the cars and the weight of the new generation cars and the ballast, is that a big impact, especially when we come here and it's big stress?
It has an effect, but you know, with every effect, we can, you know, you take a little bit more camber off, you put a little bit more pressure in. You know, you have your reactive situation. I mean, for what we've seen this year with the ballast, it's just slowed the cars out. It hasn't really had an effect on the soft tyres for sure. It's had a big effect, but on the other tyres, it's not really had much of an impact. But here, it's all about getting the setup right. It's crucial, you know. It's, you know, quarter degree. It doesn't sound a lot, but it's, you know, finishing a race or not finishing a race. 0.2 of a PSI out of a tyre makes a huge difference. So, you know, getting race 1 issues out of the way, stabilising it in race 2, you know, and we can see some good, clean racing. But people always push the envelope. I know I keep harking on about, you know, too much camber, too low pressure, but look, I want good, clean racing, and all I aim to is make sure everybody gets around safely and come back with air in the tyres. It's my number 1 role.
Well, perfect. We'll see how they all get on in race 3, but good stuff. Thanks for explaining all that to us, Mickey, and yeah, good luck for the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thruxton always delivers plenty of great racing. Sometimes it can deliver a fair amount of damage. That means we can launch our brand new feature. It's Crash of the Week.
Mike Bushell, huge accident in quali, mate. What actually happened, and could it have been avoided?
Well, I looked in my mirrors. It just happened to be at that point I looked at them. Simon was in a blind spot, obscured by the rear pillar. I mean, I've got one of the wide view inner mirrors on the screen anyway. He wasn't there. If I'd known he's there, I wouldn't have moved across, and that's simple as that. But I thought it was clear, so I got on the radio, started accelerating, talking about tyre temperatures, and then all of a sudden, bam, Simon's there. I did see him at the last minute, started turning right, and then that's clipped me. And because I'm now turning right, I've just driven straight at the barrier, and obviously sent Simon off into a spin, and he hit the tyres backwards. So,
why is it so difficult to see out the touring cars? Do you think it's as bad as a Clio that you're used to, or is it just difficult because it's a touring car?
I think it's just a little bit bigger. I mean, with the pillars bigger at the back. I don't know how it is compared to others, but obviously you sit down quite low and things. I say I did look, but unfortunately, obviously I didn't look enough, and you know, I got the slap on the wrist for that this morning. So,
well, it's just one of those things, isn't it? You put it down to not being able to see, as you say, but a big impact. And what kind of damage have the doctors said you've got, and how long are you going to be out?
Well, they suspected I broke my femur and my pelvis at first, just because my leg keeps trying to rotating out to the left. But it's turned out to be tendon and ligament damage. It's going to take 3 or 4 weeks to heal up probably, so fingers crossed I should be okay for Alton Park. Loads of other bruises and things. It's a hefty impact, but I think in hindsight maybe I should have had a seat fitting this year, because I was using Dave Newsham's seat from last year. It's a little bit wider around my waist, so the damage is done by me moving in the seat. I actually broke the side of the seat, and then my legs got tangled in the bottom bit of the harness, and that's what's ripped my leg round, and done all the damage.
Conscious throughout? Did it just feel like a massive hit? Because people at home, you know, they see an accident, but they don't know, you know, exactly what has happened on that impact.
Yeah, I could see it coming, and I sort of, you know, you shut your eyes and you go in for the impact, but I have to say it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. But I think because I shifted so far forward in the seat, it really shocked me, and I just wanted to get out because I was in so much pain. And as soon as I got out and tried to stand on my leg, it obviously just gave way. So I just put myself on the floor, and then obviously let the medical staff and great guys to sort me out.
Perfect. We'll see you at Alton then, yeah?
Fingers crossed.
A real talking point this weekend at Thruxton has been the track limit situation. We didn't have it so much last year, but it's come back this year, and at the chicane in particular. Now, Pat Blakeney of Thruxton knows all about curbs here, and you've done some work to this section of the circuit over the winter. What's changed?
We're always struggling a little bit for that for want of a better word, balance between motorcycle racing and car racing. What suits cars doesn't suit motorbikes, or vice versa. Last year we had a bit more painted area, and people were still hitting the sausage curbs. We had a few problems with the Renault Clios. There was a bit of damage to the cars. We want racing to be sorted out on the track. We don't want to break cars. So we tried to change things a little bit this year, in the fact that we just defined the track limits a little bit better. So I don't think anybody's using more this year. It's just that it's better defined.
But the knock-on effect is that we've had more people being warned, and we've had a few more penalties. So, are you happy?
I'm never happy to have a race sorted out in the stewards' room. I'd rather races be sorted out on the track. But I can see where the theory and the intent is for the track limit rules. I agree with Jonathan that we need to do something. I think for the UK it's difficult that we're a bit out on a limb where we're not falling in line with international regulations, but it is important, I think, to police it, and I think it's a development. People will get used to the new regulation, but it just takes a bit of time. But racing drivers being racing drivers will always stretch things to the nth degree.
Jonathan Palmer was the real champion of this idea, and his point was that all these people are driving all over my grass and digging up the turf and making my circuits look scruffy. From a fan's point of view, cars going over the curb or overtaking on the grass is really spectacular. So there's a fine balance, isn't there?
Oh, there is, most definitely. And as a sort of has-been racing driver, I would be exactly the same. You use whatever's available to you. So I think the international rules, work, but where do you draw the line?
Pat, thank you. You talk about has-been racing drivers. There's another has-been racing driver, and he's right over here. Paul O'Neill, of course, has been racing in the British Touring Car Championship. He's been talking about the support races at Thruxton this weekend. And Paul, from a racer's point of view, let's talk about the curbs first of all. We're in the middle of the chicane. We've got different painted colours. We've got these sausage curbs as well, which are meant to be a deterrent, but there are tar marks all over them. So do they work?
I would say that, yeah, they do work. Touring cars in particular have got fantastic dampers, so they will run over them all day if they wanted to. Support race cars, they struggle to hit these curbs here because you're so square as you approach, so you wouldn't particularly go for them, but it does make the corner quicker. So as a driver, you're always trying to go as fast as you can, make up those tenths, and hopefully half a second get you on pole. But it's a real struggle, and I can see here it's a difficult one for circuits like Thruxton, but basically you're not allowed to run over the back of that blue and white and red paint. If you go anywhere on this green here, that is track limits. And you can see how many cars have actually hit this sausage curb in particular here. So it's a difficult one for guys like Pat and circuit people to really get the thing sorted.
Another complaint about all of this is that the way it's enforced has to be by a human being. Some circuits have got little pressure pads in, that will cost money, but you're down to a marshal, an observer, having to do it manually. And there's always that human error problem as well. So some people might get away with it and some might not.
It is a difficult one, and we've seen it in race, I think it was race 1 in particular, that people had their fastest laps taken away, that then they'd lose their spaces on the grid because they'd gained an advantage, so to speak. And it's a judge of fact that stands behind the barrier, and they're quite far away and they're looking. I, for one, would not want to do that job. I really wouldn't. But then you go to other circuits, Motorsport Vision circuits in particular, they have pressure pads. As soon as they touch the pressure pad, a camera flashes, they've got a picture. That's big expense, but that's something that the circuit people want to do there. It's such a difficult one, but I think what it has done, as in general, is it's tidied the circuits up, because no one is running on grass massively now, because they know they will get done. But it's always you're always wincing when you're a driver, thinking, have I touched that paint that I wasn't supposed to? It is difficult.
But one good thing about the chicane is that it's always a part of Thruxton that delivers lots of overtaking, lots of spectacular racing, and we've had plenty of that this weekend. Let's have a look at the best bits of touring cars at Thruxton. The feel-good story of Thruxton, Adam Morgan's win in race 3. And for Russell Morgan, it's not just your team that's had a victory. You're standing here as a very proud dad, I should think.
I am a very proud dad indeed, yes. I mean, it's been a long time coming, but his confidence now, he's fantastic as a driver, and he's really come on this year. And last year he got the win at Brands, but that was inherited, so to get the win for his own merits was fantastic.
You did have that win at Brands Hatch last year, but this year you were able to go through all the emotions yourself in the pit lane, and of course Adam in the car, and that magic moment of getting out, punching the air and really celebrating.
Absolutely. I have this stupid thing where I have to stay in the truck and watch it from the TV in the truck. I'm terrible with my superstitions, and that's one of them, unfortunately. And until he has a bad race, I have to stay there. So, and the next thing that's happened is this facial growth that's arrived has been part of my superstition as well. So that's got to stay now as well. So I'm very sorry about that.
Now, Wicks Racing puts on a great show. You've got this very nice Mercedes, you've got a nice big truck, you've got all these personnel, but it's still a small team and you're still doing this without a huge budget. How tough is life?
Oh, it is definitely tough. I mean, Wicks are a fantastic title sponsor, and we have other great sponsors with Fuchs and Max and FIA. Sicily is my company, Mercedes-Benz truck company, and obviously they provide the trucks for me and some of the equipment. But it is tough to find the money to go racing.
Sure. And something like this is only going to help, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm really hoping that people will take notice and offer Adam drives and other series and bits and pieces like that. So more the better.
Now, your background was rallying as well as racing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I did some rallying, quite a lot of rallying, and I actually did a few races in the Btcc, not in a touring car, but in a Renault Spider, along with Jason Plato. Long time ago, it feels like, but certainly Adam is an awful lot better than I am, so that's a good thing.
I was just wondering, really, why Adam went circuit racing, because obviously there's that rallying element to the family background.
Yeah, well, we did go rallying. He took over one of my Mark 1 Escorts and had to go in the forest, and he was very, very quick in that. But he karted from the age of 8 to 16, and he wanted to get back into the circuit. So we actually ended up buying a G50 Ginetta and went doing some track days, and I realised he had quite a bit of talent. We put him in for a race at Rockingham at the end of 2009, I think, and he got a podium. So it was, and that's when it all started. We did a season then in 2010 with Dynajet, with Frank Raffle, and in 2011 then we took on our own team and did the G55 Championship, which we ended up winning, so it was a good story.
But when he came into touring cars, he had this sort of wild man image. It's fair to say he did get involved in the odd scrape or two. Now, you brought Paul Ridgway in, who's not just engineered cars, he's kind of engineered Adam.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the pressure was massive in 2012. We were with Speedworks, and Christian's a great friend of mine, and we did a great job, but the car was fairly hastily put together at the beginning of the season, and the teammate at the time wasn't sort of a front-running person, so it was difficult to get the balance. And yes, he did have a lot of crashes and a lot of breakdowns as well. So it was, do we stop, do we pack it in, or do we have a go ourselves? And I saw the ability there, and getting Paul involved was the best thing I ever did. And he's turned, certainly our racing fortunes around.
So this is the first win of 2015. Now he's got to do a fair few more, hasn't he?
Yeah, it certainly puts the pressure on. When you start getting podiums, it's going to be even more difficult when you have a bad weekend, which will come, I'm sure. But yeah, I believe he can challenge for podiums now, and that's our target every time we come racing.
And so, Sunday evening at Thruxton, how did Dad and Lad go and celebrate?
Well, I think he's driving a truck back, and I'm going to spend the night in the motorhome, but because we've got a 6-hour drive ahead of us, and after a 4-hour pack down, we're going to be, and I think a few beers, I think we'll probably go on.
What a glamorous life. Russell, well done.
Thanks very much indeed, Dave.
So Gordon Shedden will leave Thruxton as the championship leader in the Dunlop MSA British Touring Car Championship. And Paul O'Neill. Next we head to Alton Park, yet another different type of circuit. A whole different challenge is going to be thrown up there as well.
It is, and all I'll say to you is BMW, BMW, BMW. I think Tordov, Collard and Prio are going to be on it. They've not got massive amounts of ballast. It's very much a stop-starty place, traction. So BMWs will be fast, but Plato, with what he said at the end of the show, saying he's the best person around Alton Park, I'm going to agree with him and say he'll be up there as well, but he'll have a bit of ballast. But I'm going to stick to my guns, like I said at the end of Donington. Them Civic Type R's look so fast. They look super quick.
Alton Park this year takes us back to the other configuration. In other words, not the full international circuit we used last year and there was criticism about because the racing wasn't that good. We're back to the Island Bend hairpin. It really is the key overtaking point on the circuit, but there's also a lot of damage there.
There is, yeah, and you can really mess up your brake point as you go over the dip and then on the brakes hard and into second or first gear for that hairpin. So it is difficult, but it opens it up a lot, and I think it was right to get rid of that configuration that we went on, and track limits didn't help there as well. That was the first year we had the regulation in place. So I think it'll be a cracker, I really do. I think we've got to pin our hopes on, you know, the guys going there, knowing it's the old configuration and going hard at it. I really do think it'll be a good race.
And the predictions are BMWs to win all 3 races, yeah?
BMWs to win the first 2, I'd think, and then maybe the reverse grid might throw up maybe an Aidan Moffat or a Josh Cook or something like that. I do think, because it's difficult to overtake. Be interesting to see. Hope you got that on camera.
There you go. Those drivers are doomed, aren't they? Knowing O'Neill's predictions. So Alton Park is next. Qualifying on ITV.com. Saturday, the 6th of June. Race day coverage on the Sunday, the 7th. 3 more fantastic races to look forward to at Alton Park. The sole visit of the Btcc to Cheshire from him and me. Goodbye. We'll see you up north.